presence of God is. Full, complete, fulfilling and overflowing with its perfection of peace, its infinite love, its unbounded joy and enthusiasm, its limitless possibility. The eternal of the infinite is here now, present in this room, within me, within each one of us. It always is, it always has been, and it will always be present, alive, vibrating, giving of itself to itself, its creation, me, you, all of us. So it is from this place of truth and comfort and intelligence and wisdom and all-knowing and all-loving that I speak this word for this service. And I accept that we are bathed in the light of love, and that through everything that happens here and now, every breath, every word, that we are blessed beyond measure. So I accept that we open ourselves up to reveal the presence of God as us, to see and feel the presence of God around us, and to listen for that which is calling our name, in gratitude for what is happening now and always, in gratitude for our willingness to say yes and to be open and to listen and to bask in this energy. I release this word with a full expectation of its demonstrating itself magnificently. And I let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Good morning. My name is Maggie Cole, and I'm a professional prayer practitioner here at the center. And I am happy to read the affirmation, and I invite you to read it with me. My life is what I make of it, thought by thought. And herein is a possibility to express the divinity that is the center of all life. Blessed be.
Good morning. For those of you who I have not yet met, I am Reverend Jeff, one of your ministers here at the center. Bless your heart. So I was listening to the song, such a perfect song to begin this month of consideration of sowing the seeds of change. We are the ones who will change the world. I wonder when we started singing about that. I certainly remember it from the 60s, and I know this audience remembers it from the 60s, yeah? Change is such a funny thing. There's so much to consider. Clearly, change is the nature of things, the creative, vitalizing, expanding flow of life by design. All you have to do is look outside, as I did this morning at my pear tree, watching what the seasons do. It rains yesterday, it's beautiful today, hot, cold. Change is the nature of things. And we, as conscious people, are agents of change. What we choose to think and say and do is powerful. Our lives are affected. Other people's lives are affected. Our world is affected by what we choose. And then there is our navigation of change, which is always a fascinating subject to explore. Those are the three things that I want to consider today. Change as the nature of things, the nature of God as life, what we contribute as agents of change, and our navigation of change. I remember when I first walked into a center like this and heard that very first day that we can change our entire lives by simply changing our minds. And I thought, thank God. Because I knew something had to give. Something had to change. We seem to be, many of us, in a very similar season right now, sensing as individuals, as a culture, perhaps as a species, that something has got to change. We have aspirations as individuals. We have contributions to make to society, to the world, to create a better life for ourselves, for our children, our grandchildren, for the world. But how do we change when we are so attached to things? So attached to beliefs, to ideas, to positions, to opinions. Anyone ever gotten attached to a position? We can be rigid mentally on rare occasion. We like what's familiar, even if what's familiar isn't working particularly well. Even if we sense that there might be something better. The status quo is known. We know what to expect. But this creates a conflict internally. We know that change is the nature of things. We know it needs to happen, and we know somewhere deep within us that there's more for us to be, more for us to experience, more for us to contribute. And at the same time, we resist it. Do you want to change? Yes. No. Yes. No. Yeah? It takes a bit of mindfulness, this changing ourselves and changing the world's business. It can be challenging, and it can also be quite thrilling if I can keep my mind supple enough to navigate change with grace. In our book that we're considering this year, A New Design for Living, our founder, Ernest Holmes, says we generally seem to resist change, even that which is better for us. We also appear to resist being what we really are. We need to learn carefully and surely to permit ourselves to accept the fuller expression of the mind that is within us. Against this, there must be no resistance. For in its creative flow through us rests our entire future, the greater person we may be, and the richer life we desire to enjoy. We need to embrace change, not resist it. We want to experience the fuller expression of life within us. We want to be the greater person that we sense within us we can be. We just hesitate at the prospect of actually doing anything different in order to facilitate that. I thought about Melissa Felipe's song, Kicking and Screaming, Down the Path of Transformation. It must have resonated with a lot of people because it became very, very popular. And I thought to myself, surely there must be a better way to navigate this path of change. I am so done with kicking and screaming, except when I'm not. But I'm aware of it now. To realize, to make real this possibility that exists within us, the invitation seems to be to change our relationship with change. Oh, we struggle with it. But I ask myself, why? What is the fear? And it must be fear. What else can explain all the struggling and suffering that we go through when presented with change to navigate? What is the fear that causes us so much grief navigating change? The two primary fears appear to be fear of lack and fear of loss. There won't be enough of something for me. This is all there is. We cling to what we know because it gives us a sense of security. If I can just keep things the same, then at least I know what to expect. But security can't be found in what we have. It can only be found in what we are. We cannot stay the same and keep things the same and at the same time expand into a greater experience of life that is ours for the taking. It can't happen. I had to change my mind about change. Some years ago, I realized that I had a choice. And I began to think of life not so much as a constant struggle, but rather as a grand adventure. Given the choice, which we do have, why not choose the grand adventure option? This is how, by changing our lives, by changing our minds, we can change our entire lives. I changed my mind, and my experience of life became very, very different. M. Scott Peck speaks to adventure in a way that I love. He says, an adventure is going into the unknown. If you know exactly where you're going, exactly how you will get there, and exactly what you'll see along the way, it's not an adventure. Because they involve the unknown, adventures are inherently dangerous to a greater or lesser degree. Yet, it is also only from adventures and their newness that we learn. If we know exactly where we're going, exactly how to get there, and exactly what we'll see along the way, we won't learn anything. Changes the nature of things. It's a grand adventure. We're not the first ones to think about this stuff. 2,500 years ago in Greece, Heraclitus was known for his position on the constant change of the universe, and he said, no one ever steps in the same river twice. Changes the nature of things. We've been thinking about it for a long time. Dr. Holmes uses the river metaphor. If we stand on the bank of a river, he says, and watch it flow by, we become aware of the fact that the river never changes, but that its content is always new. Life within us never changes, but the content of our experience of living never remains the same. See, the presence of God is the constant, but the form that God as life takes is ever changing. I found the same message in the Bible. I think I was in a metaphysical Bible class a handful of years ago and was reading the Gospels. And it kept saying, and it came to pass, and it came to pass. And I had a moment of clarity. I realized that nowhere in that entire library of documents spanning hundreds or perhaps thousands of years does it say, and it came to stay. Brilliant, yes? We might as well get used to change and make friends with it. Change our relationship with change, and also change our relationship to reconsider our beliefs about the unknown, about the mystery. One of my teachers early on, when we were having a similar conversation, said, Jeff, hold out your hand. He said, you know about this much. And then there's all of this. All of the mystery. What I know is very limited compared to what I don't know, compared to the mystery. We talk about living in infinite possibility, but the fact is we're uncomfortable occasionally when it comes to actually wandering into that infinite possibility. We want the pamphlet. We want to know what's going to happen and when and how. Infinite possibility is a lovely idea, but there's a part of us that would prefer just one possibility. because we have become attached to the known and are afraid of the unknown. And it keeps our lives small. And when change presents itself, we resist. We resist because we've forgotten that the infinite possibility in there is something changeless, and that's the presence of God. There's nothing to fear in the unknown. It's just God, whether it's defined or it's undefined. Just because some situation, circumstance, or person in our lives is changing or falling away doesn't mean that God is falling away. Breathe. The mystery that we fear, it's just God. It's just life, unformed, infinite possibility, poised to pour itself into our life experience as big as we let it. And if we only let it pour itself into the mold that our life was yesterday, then it will continue to do so, and our lives will be as they were yesterday. You see? In order for us to experience more than we did yesterday, we need a bigger mold. And that's not going to happen if we're so rigidly attached to yesterday's ideas and positions and beliefs that there's no room to move. And it's not always so black and white, this resistance to change. An interesting hidden belief that I uncovered again this last week as I was considering this is that if something changes, we did something wrong. That's what I used to believe. That when something, especially something significant in my life, changed or fell away or came to pass, that I had done something wrong. Or worse yet, that there was something wrong with me. Take relationship, for example. Does anyone remember their first love? Does anyone not remember their first love? I do. It was 1973. I lived down in Southern California, and I fell in love with a Valley girl. Oh my God. Totally. We went to the Galleria. We did all the things. And we had an amazing, it was, back in that time, it was, I don't know, there was an innocence when we're little. We love fearlessly. Isn't that fantastic? And we had an amazing time for a season. And then it came to pass. But I didn't know then that things came to pass. I thought that if I did everything right, things came to stay. And oh, I mourned and struggled and suffered. And I carried around a belief for many years that didn't serve me. It was only many years later that I read something that changed my perspective about relationship. It spoke to change to the nature of things in a way that helped me to understand that there was nothing wrong with me. It's a piece by Portia Nelson. She calls it a reason or a season or a lifetime. When someone is in your life for a reason, it is usually to meet a need you've expressed outwardly or inwardly. They have come to assist you through a difficulty, to provide you with guidance and support, to aid you physically, emotionally, or spiritually. They may seem like a godsend, and they are. They are there for the reason you needed them to be. Then, without any wrongdoing on your part, or at an inconvenient time, this person will say or do something to bring the relationship to an end. Sometimes they die. Sometimes they walk away. Sometimes they act up or act out and force you to take a stand. What we must realize is that our need has been met, our desire fulfilled, their work is done. The prayer you sent up has been answered, and it's now time to move on. When people come into your life for a season, it's because your turn has come to share, to grow, and to learn. They may bring you an experience of peace or make you laugh. They may teach you something you've never done. They usually give you an unbelievable amount of joy. Believe it, it's real, but only for a season. Lifetime relationships teach you lifetime lessons, those things you must build upon in order to have a solid emotional foundation. Your job is to accept the lesson, love the person or people anyway, and put what you've learned to use in all other relationships and areas of your life. I wish someone would have given me this in junior high school. I didn't know. I thought it was me. This change in my life, these changes that happen in our lives, doesn't mean there's anything wrong with us. Every person, every experience in our lives contributes something to becoming the greater person we may be that Dr. Holmes spoke of. This business of being conscious, being awake, realizing that we're a place where divine life is expressing itself through ever-expanding ways, it's a lot of work. It will challenge us, challenge the status quo, challenge our definitions and our positions, challenge our opinions and our beliefs over and over again. It will challenge us to become more than we have been, to embrace change. And that is a very, very good thing, because it's only by challenging what is that we make space for what is trying to be. Which begs the question, what is trying to be in you, through you, as you? What change are you resisting out of fear of the unknown? What is your edge to explore? I've been working on a project for the last couple of years now, and it's a big challenge to my status quo. Big adventure, very risky, very thrilling, very terrifying, because I'm wandering into the unknown and I'm watching myself do it. I'm doing it as a spiritual practice, which everything we do in life is. I'm doing it consciously and mindfully. And this is where navigation comes in. I know this expansion, this change needs to happen through me. It wants to happen through me. There's a strong invitation in my heart and soul, and I believe that we all have those invitations within us. Now, I know how to resist and struggle and suffer. And I know now that I am a co-creator of my life experience, and I have something to contribute, and that I can change my mind. I can cooperate and have a different experience as a result. My prayer today is not that things will remain the same. That would be contrary to the nature of things. It would be a waste of time, a setup for frustration. No, my prayer today is that I navigate with grace. Today, I navigate the adventure of life with grace. That's my intention, that's my affirmation, that's my practice. So 2 weeks ago, I hit the send button. And off the project went. Very exciting, but boy, it worked me. Waking up is hard to do. I struggled and I paced and I fretted and I balked and I retreated and I ranted and I raved and I cowered and I tried so hard to stay small and safe. I stood at the edge and I looked down into the unknown and I paced back and forth at the edge. Dr. Dennis spoke to this last week. Pacing so long at the edge that you begin to wear a groove. He called it a coffin with no ends. I can relate. It can feel risky, this change business. But today, I choose to navigate the adventure that is my life today with grace, to the best of my ability. And some days are better than others. And that's okay too. It's important. See, there is something more important than the fear. To be a place where the creative, expansive, loving nature of God as life can be in the world. I have to make a choice. What's more important? That, to me, is more important than fear. That's our design. That's our purpose for being. And we need to be supple and graceful. We need to get comfortable living at the edge. I know that living at the edge is edgy. But as we change our relationship with the edge, with the mystery, with change, with infinite possibility, it becomes rather thrilling. As individuals, as a species, as a planet, we're in the midst of a time of great change. We know things have to change. We can't wait anymore. We can't pace back and forth anymore. What is your send button? It is incumbent upon each and every person to bring what's ours to bring. We're going to need to stretch a little to do that, to expand, to learn to dance on the edge of what we know. But in order to truly create something new, we need to allow ourselves to wander beyond what we have known. Change. It's the nature of things. And we are the agents of change. I want to close with a piece written by the elders of the Hopi Nation in Arizona. And they tell us this. We've been telling the people that this is the 11th hour. Now you must go back and tell the people that this is the hour. And there are things to be considered. Where are you living? What are you doing? What are your relationships? Are you in the right relation? Where is your water? Know your garden. It is time to speak your truth. Create your community. Be good to each other. And don't look outside yourself for a leader. This could be a very good time. There is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel that they're being torn apart, and they will suffer greatly. Know that the river has its destination. The elders say, we must let go of the shore and push off and into the river. Keep our eyes open and our heads above water. See who is in there with you and celebrate. At this time in history, We are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment that we do, our spiritual growth and journey comes to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that you do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Let us pray. So I breathe that very same flow into and through every aspect of my being, recognizing it as the presence of life itself, bringing with it that infinite possibility within which is all the love, all the strength, the expansive, creative, joyful nature of life itself. And that we are a place for that nature to be in the world by design. And so it is from that place that I speak this word of intention for myself and anyone who chooses it as their own to navigate this grand adventure of life that is this day with grace. To expand beyond my beliefs and positions of yesterday, to open, to court, to dance with infinite possibility, to be a place where the good of God can be in the world. And so knowing the power of this word as I change my mind and change my life, I can rest in gratitude and release it, this word, into that very same flow that integrates it seamlessly and makes it so. I let it be, for so it is. Bless your heart. Thank you. Bless your hearts. I forgot what's next. I invite the ushers to stand, please. And I invite you to take your gift in your hand and repeat our giving affirmation. I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal and prosper. It does good work in the world and blesses creation. Ushers, please.